that is how to get into SRCC. The updated pattern, since there's actually a lot of changes, the NCERT as your holy grail, तो मैं कोई ना कोई word आगे चल के भूल ही जाऊंगी. So it's better that you learn the word to understand, to practice, to learn, to study, but you have to take that extra effort. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Bhavika and I hope you all are doing great. In this video, I shall be answering one of the most asked questions by you guys, that is how to get into SRCC. So many of you have been reaching me out for tips, preparation strategies. So in this video, I am going to share not just my experience and advice, but also the tips that I have gathered from someone I personally know who recently cleared CUET 2025 and got admitted into SRCC. I've prepared my notes, so without any further delay, let's just get started. Alright, so in this video I shall be discussing with you guys the updated pattern, since there's actually a lot of changes since when I gave CUET. Just for information, I have recently graduated from SRCC from batch 2025, so I was one of those students who gave CUET the very first year it was introduced, that was in CUET 2022. And since there have been so many changes, I just found it right to ask for tips from someone who has recently gathered, and he has actually shared a lot of insights for me to tell you guys. So don't worry, I've got you guys covered. So as far as I have gathered, and I'll also link the official document in the description, but basically there would still be 3 sections. Section 1, which would be the language section, jisme there would be 2 sections, language 1A and language 1B. Language 1A would be for the regional languages like Hindi, English, etc. and 1B for the foreign languages, which is better suited for the foreign nationals who want to give CUET. Section 2 is basically the domain test, in which basically the domain subjects are the subjects that you have studied in your 11th, 12th, like accountancy, BST, economics, etc. A new change that has been introduced this year is that if you can give domain test even for a subject which you did not have in 12th. Let's say, for example, you did not have physical education in class 12th boards, but if you want, so you can give physical education ka test in CUET as well. So that's a change which offers more flexibility to some students. Then there's a section 3, which is basically the general test, which basically tests your quantitative aptitude, logical reasoning, current affairs, general knowledge, etc. For SRCC, basically you don't need to give this section 3, that is a general test. So to talk about the marking system, there is +5 for every correct answer and a -1 for every wrong answer. You won't be given or deducted any marks. So basically 0 marks for any question that you don't want to attempt. So basically, if you have a correct answer, you will get +5. But in case you get a wrong answer, so you won't just have -1 from your total score, but basically आपके total score से 6 marks minus हो जाएंगे. 5 marks which you would have otherwise gotten if the answer was correct, and 1 mark for answering the question wrong in a wrong way. So it's often advised that if you cannot actually answer calculatively or with confidence, it's better to leave that question unattempted if you are like really dicey or really doubtful about a question, because you don't want to lose 6 marks from the total, because colleges like SRCC have really high cutoff. So basically each subject has 250 marks, okay, and each subject will be having 50 questions, and now onwards you have to answer all the 50 questions. Back when I gave CUET, we had the option of leaving any 10 questions, and but now there you have to answer all questions. Basically all 50 questions would be mandatory, and you would be given 60 minutes for each subject. Now let's talk about the combination of subjects that you require for SRCC. So SRCC mein there are 2 courses, right? There's BCom honors and there's economic honors. So for BCom honors, you need to give at least 1 language. It could be any English, Hindi or any other language. You need to give mandatorily either mathematics or accountancy. One of these is mandatory to be eligible to get BCom honors in anywhere in Delhi University. And other than that, you also need to give 2 domain subjects. So basically the total evaluation marks comes out to be 1000, because each subject now weighs for 250 marks each. Next, for economic honors, there's again you have to give 1 language. Mathematics is a compulsory subject, and other than that you also need to give 2 other domain subjects. So again the total comes out to be 1000. Also, now there's this rule in CUET that you can select only maximum 5 subjects in which you want to appear. That includes your language and general test. Basically, since some students have additional subjects, and just in case people don't apply for unnecessary subjects, they have introduced this rule that now you can give only a maximum of 5 subjects for a CUET UG test, because that allows for a better and a stricter evaluation for them. I would be linking down the official document, by the way, in the description, so you can read through all this information in detail if required. Alright, so now let's discuss the preparation strategy, which is probably the reason most of you are here, and I shall be discussing it subject wise based on the tips I've also received from a junior who recently cleared CUET 2025 and got into SRCC. So let's get started with the language first. So I personally gave English for my language back in 2022, and also like the junior whom I'm talking about, he also gave English. So I can give more insights about that subject only. So for English, honestly, the tests could be a little subjective. Like in his words, it could be luck based as well. So basically some sets were tougher, like, you know, obviously in terms of vocabulary, there's infinite words. You obviously cannot cover all of it. So it does become a little bit luck based, but don't worry, all you can do is start preparing. And for English, the suggestion that I have received that I should tell you guys is that at least start preparing for English from right now, because there are so many words that you would like to know about. Like, you know, there are a lot of common words which are asked in such questions, and the earlier you basically start learning, the earlier you get more adapted towards the language and towards the vocabulary, the easier it would be for you when you would be appearing for the actual test. So basically, of course, yes, some sets were tougher. However, be assured that normalization does take place, and it really does help level up to a lot of extent as far as my experience recalls. So yeah, for English, do start your preparation right now. Start learning at least 10 words which you are not aware about, and you know, I think it can just help you increase your vocabulary. It will help you in your English speaking as well, and of course it will help you for any competitive exams you want to give. So for vocabulary, what I personally used to do is, this was recommended to me by one of my teacher. I would take 10 sticky notes and I would pick one word, like such as, let's say, whatever word I pick, and then I would write down its meaning on the sticky note, and then also a sentence for that, because learning the meaning is not the best way to remember that word in long term. Because if I would be learning 10 words every day, तो मैं कोई ना कोई word आगे चल के भूल ही जाऊंगी. So it's better that you learn the word with its usage in a sentence. That way you can remember the word in a longer way, or for that way you can remember the word for a longer time, and that genuinely helps. Start small. Just start by learning at least 5 words daily, 5 new words daily. Start by building your vocabulary. You can find a lot of resources on YouTube. If you want, I can also share some of the resources. Just comment down below and I shall share the resources with you. Also, another easier way of improving your English vocabulary and grammar is, I would say, is start reading English books. You can read fictional books, and I think it would really help you, because some books really have a good level of vocabulary. If you read fiction, it won't just help you build your vocabulary, learn new words, get more equipped with the language, but also help you garner interest and help you be more productive, because reading books will also help you increase your reading speed, and that can help you in your reading comprehensions as well. Other than that, consuming media in the language also really helps. Watch English shows, watch English movies, and I think that would also help. You can come across so many metaphors, so many idioms, you can learn new words, and I think these things really do help. So in my opinion, if you feel like you don't want to get into the very intensive mode right now, start small by consuming media and reading books, and then you can just start off by learning few new words every single day, and that shall build off. Also, make sure you do revise the words that you are learning time to time. Try to use it in your daily lives with your friends, because that will actually help you learn the words for a longer period of time. Alright, so now talking about the reading comprehension, the passages part. So majorly they were coming out to be very easy. However, a few were also subjective, like especially there might be 1 to 2 questions in a passage which are really open to personal interpretation. So in those questions there might be chances of answering wrong, and that is something that actually happened to me as well. So I actually scored like a 196 in English as far as I can recall. It's been 3 years now. But yeah, and that was only because I attempted one passage answer wrong, which in my interpretation was right, honestly. But yeah, basically English is a subjective and a creative subject, right? So such things are bound to happen. But again, for passages also, like a tip that I've been asked to share is, firstly just skim through the passage very quickly and then answer the questions, and don't save it at the moment, mark it for review. So basically you shall most probably get time to revise, and what you can do is just mark it for review and then go back for a quick revision, read the question again, do think if you think the answer fits well, and if you are a little doubtful, just go back to the passage, skim through that particular paragraph again, and you shall be assured if you think this answer is correct or not. You'll get better at it by practicing. Obviously practice is the key to perfection for everything, so just start practicing passages. Also eventually, like gradually you can start by doing 1 to 2 passages at least per week as of for now, and later you can increase the frequency. As of for grammar, there were not a lot of grammar intensive questions, but I mean it's just essential to know grammar to be actually aware of what English subject or what any language is. So do make sure that your concepts are clear, and of course the exams are more vocabulary intensive, so definitely please start working on your vocabulary right now. Alright, so now let's actually talk about mathematics, which is actually a subject which is mandatory for economic honors. For BCom honors, as I said, you can pick either mathematics or accountancy. So basically I'll just tell, so basically I gave both maths as well as accountancy back when CUET 2022, because I actually wanted to get economic honors back then. But actually let me know if you guys want me to share my story and experience as to how I got into SRCC, why I changed my course and everything. I would love to share that with you guys. But yeah, coming back to the topic, so maths is basically mandatory for economic honors, and since I gave both mathematics and accountancy, my score in accountancy was higher than what I scored in maths. So for my eligibility criteria for BCom honors, accountancy was the subject that was chosen for me, because that was giving me higher marks in total. So basically in maths I had around 134 something. Oh, by the way, back then exams used to be for 200 marks each, not 250 marks. So yeah, and that was at 98.9 percentile. And for accountancy I actually scored like 98 percentile something, and my marks were around 188 out of 200. So since my marks in accountancy were higher, in my combination it by default chooses the subject in which you chose higher. So if you feel like you want to give both of these subjects, you can do both as well. I know a lot of people who just choose to give accountancy because they don't want to take too much pressure by studying an additional subject, especially if that's not mandatory. Because let's be honest, in MCQs on BST and economics are have a higher scoring potential than mathematics. Okay, so for mathematics you basically do require a good level of practice. The questions were of high level back when I gave, and as far as what I am aware, the questions were of a really good level this time as well. So personally I gave my mathematics in CUET 2022, and what I could gather after a lot of discussion with my peers and everybody is that a lot of questions were actually of JE level, and that was not something that I was prepared for, because I did not expect that in CUET, especially in the first edition, because you do not expect it to be that hard. But yeah, I did practice the most for mathematics, and I mean, at the fact that I scored 98.9 percentile, but around 136 out of 200 just shows maybe the exam was actually a little bit difficult. But yeah, if you really want economic honors, mathematics is a mandatory subject. Please start practicing for it right now and practice daily. Do refer NCERT for it, NCERT exemplar for it, and also I think the best way for mathematics is to practice mocks. And as you practice mocks, as you practice more and more MCQs, that will actually help you understand how to attempt questions in the exam, because regular books don't have MCQs, they have proper long solving questions, right? And that's not what you want to do in there, because you have limited time and you won't have time to solve those lengthy questions. Alright, so mathematics is basically more about tricks and techniques when it comes to MCQs. For example, following the elimination technique. If you have a question, you have to eliminate at what all could not be an answer. For example, if a square, if they're asking for the square of a huge number and you're confused in the options, of course start off by eliminating, because of course the square cannot be a negative number. So if there's a negative number in one of the options, you can eliminate it, and you can trust me, a lot of time questions are given in such a way that you don't really need to solve them. All you need is just elimination of the wrong options. So for mathematics, practicing MCQs is the best way, and eventually I would suggest maybe try practicing some JE level questions, especially if you're targeting economic honors. Please do that. Of course, it can vary time to time, and I think a great key for excelling in mathematics is getting better at time management and practicing these tricks and techniques. I'm sure a lot of they are available on YouTube as well. And if you feel like you want to take coaching for something, I would say that you can take it for mathematics. Next, as for BST, it came 100% from NCERT. For BST, consider NCERT as your holy grail and just read through it thoroughly. The back exercise or the text completely, it is always from NCERT. It was like that back in 2022, and it was the same this year as well. For economics, alright, so one tip that I was asked to share is that don't just rely on YouTube sources. So basically, there are a lot of YouTubers, right? And honestly, they are great. I've personally studied from them as well, but when they say things like you don't need to study from anywhere else, please don't fall into that trap. I never did, and I don't know why some students actually do, but just in case you are as well right there and you think that studying from their YouTube sources is enough, no. As I said earlier as well, you do need that extra effort if you really want to get into your dream college. YouTube sources are great for understanding, for practice, for awareness, for knowledge, for revision, but your own effort is always required. You always need to find that extra way. How can I improve myself in each and every subject if you really want to go into SRCC? So basically, YouTubers like Sunil Panda and Rajat Arora and all of these, I personally used to study from them as well, and they would teach really great, no offense, but they are not enough. Like, you need to study on your own. And if that's something that you were thinking, okay, since these YouTubers are saying that all what I'm teaching is going to be enough, please don't fall into the trap. You can refer to them, you can study from them, but do study yourself as well. Do study from the books, do study from NCERTs, because they're really asked. The syllabus and the questions is majority, like 95% comes out from NCERT concepts only. So for economics, again, you should read your NCERT thoroughly. And one thing that's really important is that there were a lot of deep level questions which actually test the understanding of your concept. So in case you feel like some concepts are not very clear through NCERT, go to YouTube, refer to more books. I don't remember that author, but there was this Sandeep, I'll mention it in the description, but his books and the understanding used to be really great. I still have his books with me, so that in case I ever need help, I'll go back to them, because it's really important to get your basic concepts right. So make sure you are understanding the concepts thoroughly, you are very clear with the graphs, you know the logic, because economics is a very logical subject in my opinion. Of course, it's based on assumptions, but yeah. Also, the previous year questions, as for like economics, the pattern was, there was quite a change. Basically, the level of questions is what I'm referring. Like, if earlier they were easy, in this particular CUET, at least for the set that my junior gave, he did not find it as similar towards like the previous year questions. So for economics, just read very thoroughly, and also for economics also, he suggested me that you can start studying from right now only, and like really focus on economics, because it is also one of your domain subjects. And if you don't want to give any additional subject like physical education, etc, you have to focus on economics. Next subject is accountancy, which is again a mandatory subject for BCom honors if you're not opting for mathematics. So for accountancy, the exam is actually doable, is what I was conveyed, and I think it was doable back in 2022 as well. So of course there would be theory questions, there would be practical questions, For accountancy, one thing to note is that NCERT is important for accountancy as well. I think a lot of us refer to TS Grewal or DK Goyal for boards, which is really nice and great for boards. However, for CUET, you have to go through NCERT. For CUET, for every subject, do check NCERT. Don't skip on NCERT even for once. That's one thing. And then go for the additional books that you want to refer. And of course, do increase the level of your questions as well. But for NCERT, basically one thing to notice that NCERT in accountancy has some sort of theory which might not be there in the other books, right? And also one thing that I was specifically asked to share is that in NCERT back exercise there are some theory questions which would not be discussed even like within the chapters in NCERT, but those questions were asked as it is in CUET. So make sure for accountancy you do NCERT अच्छे से, the chapters, the questions, and also the back exercise theory, because questions were asked as it is from there. So also there were 1 to 2 pointless questions which were not from NCERT, so be prepared for that as well. And also the case studies were coming out to be very easy and very doable, so case studies are not a matter to be afraid of. I think with that I've majorly covered a lot of aspects that I was asked to discuss, and I'll just share a little more experience and tips that I've been asked to convey. For example, of course, there would be some sets which are difficult, some sets which are a lot easier, but normalization does help in such cases. Another thing, please do not rely just on YouTube sources. I've already emphasized on it before, but do use them to understand, to practice, to learn, to study, but you have to take that extra effort. Alright, so with that, I think we have come towards the end of this video. I tried to share my experience and my tips, and also the tips that my junior asked me to share with you guys. So I hope I've answered most of your questions and I was able to give some really good advices and knowledge to you guys, helping you guys prepare for your CUET and to get into your dream college. In case you guys have got any more questions, you want any resources, or if you want me to make another video answering all of your questions, sharing more tips, more specific, more subject-wise specific tips, just comment down below and I'll be happy to help. I'll answer in your comments, or I'll make a part 2. Just let me know what you want. I hope this video was helpful for you, and all the very best. Don't forget, all you need is a little bit more hard work and more dedication, and when you walk through the gates of your dream college, it would all be worth it. All the very best, keep working hard, and I hope you get in your dream college. See you next time. Bye.